It's winter, which can mean only one thing for adventurous snow bunnies. But how to get to the top of your favourite ski run? One thing is for sure, it won't be on the 6-kilometre long Alpine Way to Charlotte Pass chairlift that will long be remembered as one of the most ill-conceived and impractical projects in snowy mountains history. Running over one of the windiest and wildest mountain tops in the country, and with the chairs often buried in the snow or on windhold for weeks at a time, not surprisingly, it was abandoned in 1965 after just 2 years of operation. I recently caught up with Owen Davis, one of the staff members who lived and worked at the chairlift's top station, also home to a remote restaurant, and began by asking him how he kept warm when power outages often left him and his workmates stranded, sometimes there for weeks at a time.
No TV.
No TV?
No. Radio, I don't recall it. We had lots of great opera because we had an Austrian chef who was wrapped in opera. And I learnt a lot about opera as a result of that. And often the cable which came over from the power cable which came over from the Alpine Way and went through to the chalet and also was the power source for the chalet would break. So we'd be without power for anything up to 2 or 3 weeks at a time, sometimes. That was also a contributing factor as to how practical it was to operate the chairlift. 64, I think, still is the record year for Australia, since they've been keeping records. And the chairlift was actually buried, in sections of the chairlift was actually buried under snow in 64. It snowed for almost a month. We ran out of firewood and in order to stay warm, had to cut the legs off the chairs in the restaurant. In fact, it made it very convenient when you wanted to sit around the fire. You could just put your feet, sit down in the chair and put your feet up on the hood of the fire. You know, you got to remember as a young person, there was no end to adventure. It was a boy's own adventure, being able to work on that. And having come off the snowy scheme and then go into an environment like that was fabulous. No, you'd spend anything up to 3 months at a time up there before you went out to the chalet or went down to the Alpine Way or something. You mightn't go down to the chalet or Alpine Way for a whole season. You just stayed in place for a whole season.